Welcome back to the Wealth Boomerang Show. We're chatting with Yvie Britton, who was born in Zimbabwe and now lives in Australia running her own business. Yvie, you seem to be very happy with running your own business and doing your own thing,
Yes.
having your lifestyle business. Would you ever go back to Africa?
Probably to visit. I'd go to visit, I'd go on holiday, I'd visit my family. To live there, it'd be a while. We'd have to make some changes.
You going to change the entire country or just change your immediate surroundings?
I have some plans for my continent.
Okay,
for
because your mum's
Africa.
watching the show, of course.
Yes,
so you can,
yes. Hi, Mum.
You can say what you like.
Yes.
So looking again at business, what do you think, coming from an outsider's perspective, what do you think that Australians need to understand and know about business?
That it's fun.
Okay.
Not to get too bogged down in the day-to-day runnings and chasing the money. Just go back to why you went into business. You know, remember that it was the passion, the little spark that it gave you when you started. Go back to that when things are going down, and then you get that spark again and keep going. Yeah.
So business is fun. Not can be fun. It's got to be fun.
It is fun, and that's how you can smile every day, and that's how I smile every day when I'm in business.
And probably attract more business because you're smiling, right?
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, coming from Africa, what would be your funniest experience in Australia?
Funniest experience in Australia. Oh, I was doing a speaking engagement for a Rotary Club. And I decided that I was going to ask everybody, what would you like to ask me? All the questions that the embarrassing questions that you always wanted to ask and never, had the guts to ask an African. And I think the funniest, most strangest question that I ever got asked was, do you have the same blood type as other white people? That threw me for a 6, as they say in cricket. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, okay. It's red, and I'm B positive, so I can share blood with anyone else who's got to be positive. So that was surreal. And I guess the other one was when I was at university, and a lecturer came up to me and said, how are you traveling? And I said, by bus. And he said to me, no, how are you traveling? And I said, no, I'm by bus. And then he had to really explain that, no, when I say how are you traveling, it means how are you doing, how are you going? And I was so embarrassed, I blushed a little. Not that anyone could see, but I blushed a little.
So you do blush?
Yes.
Okay.
I do blush, and I do get sunburnt.
Okay.
Yes.
These are the important things that people need to know.
Exactly.
Like, unless you've met an African, unless you travel there, you probably wouldn't know these things.
Exactly. Yeah, we do get sunburnt, and we do get, skin cancer like anybody else. Just takes longer, but we do get it.
You said you're travelling on bus when you're at university.
Yes.
Back in Africa, though, no buses, just riding on zebras, riding on elephants. Is that the?
No, that's not how we travel. I mean, there are these mini buses that they have, this public transport. They call them ET, emergency taxis. And you basically have to say a prayer before you get on one of those, because when you are in the actual ET, there you can see the ground from the seat that you're sitting on.
You'd never caught a bus before?
I'd never caught a bus, but you hear things.
Oh, you hear things.
You hear things.
So you're 21, you'd never caught a bus before, and here you are on a plane to another country.
Yes. I never had I didn't have a phone. I never had a mobile phone. I didn't have...
Some of the kids are just going, oh my God, she never had a mobile phone.
So no Facebook. I didn't have what's that thing called? Bank account.
Okay.
I never had a bank account, and I'd never ridden public transport, never taken public transport before. And that was because of the way I grew up. My parents took us to school, picked us up brought us back. We had a driver, and there was no need for me to have a bank account or ride in public transport.
There's no need for you to have a bank account.
Yes, in my parents' eyes anyway.
Because your parents paid for everything.
Exactly. Yes. So.
Okay. So it sounds like you came from like parents who were wealthy by African standards, but then there's a lot of things that you seem to, like Australians would say, you missed out because you didn't have a mobile phone, you didn't have Facebook, you didn't have a laptop, you didn't catch buses and go to the beach and that sort of stuff. So like from some standards you did very well compared to other Africans. From Australian standards, that's, oh my God, your life must have been so hard growing up. How do you think that shaped your attitude to life and to business?
I guess I just looked at the way I grew up and what I missed out on, and I said, okay, just because I didn't have it when I was a child doesn't mean that I can't do it now. So I just did what I didn't do when I was growing up. So I never had been to the beach, so I went to the beach, and I didn't have a mobile phone, so I got a mobile phone. 2, 3, and I guess because I never had the opportunity to start businesses in Africa, I started one here, because when you come to Australia, according to the culturalness of Africa, when you come to Australia, it's the land of opportunity. So we come and we're hungry, so to speak. So we take every opportunity that comes, and when you hear you can start a business, you start a business. So I guess that's what I would take from both sides of the culture. Just do what you love, and whatever you missed out on, do it because you're not too young to do it.
Okay. You started a business when you came to Australia. You also married an Australian. Now, how did your parents feel about that?
Well, from a young age, they knew that I was going to marry somebody who was very different. Because I just...
You had a crush on Papa Smurf, or...?
I had not Papa Smurf, but it was basically somebody who was very of a different color to me at all times, and I was always different. So they knew that I was going to be very different.
You're a little bit different. Can we catch a shot of your hair if you turn around?
Sure.
Show us
Which way should I turn?
Just look at the camera so we can see what you've done to yourself there. Put a bit of your business on the back of your head.
I did.
So fantastic. Thank you for coming along and telling us a bit about life in Africa, life growing up, and a bit about business and how you started that. And obviously,
thank you for having me.
Any suggestions that you give to other people about starting business and creating their own destiny, finding out that business is fun and remembering the spark. So thank you. And thank you to you for watching the Wealth Boomerang Show. Every week we profile someone who's boomeranged back and created their own wealth in all areas. Make sure you connect with us on Facebook, join the discussion about the show, ask questions and suggest guests or topics that you'd like to see. Next week we present Eric Bailey, who overcame crippling disability to become a basketball legend and an inspiring entrepreneur as well. They say that he's 18 feet 6 feet 9 inches tall because it's hard to cram that much awesome into a normal sized man. Make sure you book yourself in to watch that show, and remember that whatever you send out comes back to you. Your wealth is whatever you value, and your wealth is whatever you say it is. Good night, Brisbane, and good night, Asha, my rose. Daddy loves you. See you next week for another Wealth Boomerang Show.